You are listening to the Property Marketing Show with your hosts, Tom and Neil. The show that's all about marketing your property properly.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Property Marketing Show. I'm Neil and I'm here with Tom.
Hi guys.
And today we are very, very pleased to have Graeme Wadhams here, who is an award-winning marketer and experienced agent, and he's going to talk to us about property marketing. So Graeme, do you just want to say hello and just give us a little bit of background as to your award-winning property marketing career?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I came into the property industry about 15 years ago. And for the last 15 years, I worked for one of Surrey's leading independent estate agents. Started in the marketing department and grew in my role there to become marketing director. And in late 2019, was lucky enough to win the award for producing the best property marketing in the whole of the UK at the International Property Awards. That's sort of career highlight for me. And more recently, I've moved over to another leading independent estate agent in Surrey called Seymour's with 20 partner-run businesses. So as marketing director there, so I get involved with all aspects of property marketing, presenting the properties, presenting the brand and developing it. So that's me. I'm happy to be here.
Interesting. You said you started out with a graphic design career. Tom was scribbling notes as you were saying that. What do you think that's brought to your approach?
I think it has given me a good eye for quality. Like, I know what good looks like. I can instantly recognize when things look right. And I guess it's a big part of property marketing. How are the brochures presented? How is the website created? And I get really involved on a granular level with how the company that I work for presents all of those things. How do the property details touch and feel? How do the brochures feel? All of those things. You've got a knowledge of those things when you come from a design background in terms of paper stock, image quality, all of those sorts of things. So it all plays a part as we move through the rest of property marketing.
And so 15 years ago, what was your perception back then of property marketing? And do you think it's changed over the last?
Has it changed?
Has your perception changed? Property marketing.
I'm not sure I was on Facebook 15 years ago.
Fair enough.
I don't think Instagram exists, all of these sort of social media platforms. So
what I meant was your perception of it. So you've come from a graphic design role, where that granular detail. Do you think that's across the industry, or do you think that might be the reason that you're standing out?
I think the world has come on a long way. I mean, we operate offices in Surrey, and the south of England has a really high standard. I mean, I think there's lots of good work being done throughout the property industry, and I think more so now than ever. And I think a lot of our competitors are doing great work. A lot of them do work with external design agencies to make sure the quality of their presentation is up to scratch. So I think at one time, then it was easy to differentiate yourself with that. But I think other people have caught up, and that you can, if you find a good design agency to work with, then you can hit that standard quite easily. But for me, I like to think that my internal sort of quality standard helps identify where those opportunities are.
So you say you work with a design agency. So is that in actually preparing the particulars and brochures? Because I know there's a lot of agents out there who, they get a property and they might give it to, the junior neg in the back of the office to knock something up. But from what you're saying, you're probably not doing that. You're spending a lot more time and effort in preparing the details.
I mean, I think when it comes to, creating the templates of what the details are going to look like, the sort of format of those things, then, we will work with agencies, or if it comes to website design or specialist projects like television advert creation, those sorts of things, then you need to work with specialists in those areas. We do work with copywriters for some of our more prestige homes so that we can make sure that the written word, is of a similar quality to the level of photography and videos that we're using to promote the properties. So in some cases we work with external design agencies, but I think design plays a critical role throughout the presentation of the company and properties as a whole.
And what do you think you've been doing right over the last 15 years? Going through your awards, you've just won was it last year, the International Property Marketing Award?
Yeah, for best UK property marketing.
Best UK marketing. Yeah, exactly. And there's a few other awards on your LinkedIn too. What do you think it is that's making you stand out, or in other words, your property stand out?
I think it's that quality standard again. We know where we want to be, and that's number one. I make no bones about the fact that we want to be the number one estate agency in the UK for what we're doing and being a trailblazer. And to do that, it requires innovation, creativity, and making sure that you're employing the best people, the best suppliers, and you're producing the best product. And it's that dedication to consistent quality, I think, that makes the difference. Constantly, I'm sort of saying to my team all the time, it's never a competition. It's always, we're never in competition with each other. There's never a bad idea. We just keep going until we hit that standard. We're working collaboratively to reassess every aspect of what we're doing, to iterate and improve everything. And I guess that's my ethos, and it seems to have worked. So I encourage others to do the same.
But not if they're close to you in Surrey.
I mean, bring it on. Competition is a good thing. It's healthy, isn't it? It keeps me, gets me up in the morning to make sure that you can keep hitting that standard, and competition is all for the good.
Yeah, so we're particularly interested because I think one of your awards was the Surrey. Was it a Surrey award where you won best property presentation? And we wondered, did that mean the way you presented properties in the photos? Are you staging them, or is that the way you're presenting them through your marketing materials?
Yeah, I think that was an award that was awarded by, I think that was 2015. So it's a little while ago now. And the property marketing landscape has changed in that time. Back in 2015, there was a lot of reliance on newspapers. You'd see every agent, putting tens of thousands of pounds a year into newspaper advertising. So and they were looking at how we present properties, in our printed advertising material, predominantly, and then also looking at what we're doing online. But of course, more recently, there's been a bigger shift to digital, and making the sort of presentation of properties on a website or the portals more important now, much more important.
Okay, cool. And talk about print and how you're marketing properties. Has print still got much of a role at the moment for you guys? Is it still anything like it was in 2015?
I think, do you know what? I think, me personally, I get less and less stuff through the post. So you get less junk mail. You still got the pizza leaflets that come through the door, but you get less stuff given away. And I think it's because even since the financial crash, I think people have reassessed how they spend money on marketing materials. And so a lot of companies have sort of come away from print. But for me, print is one of the few ways that you give a tangible presentation of the brand. It's the one time that your brand gets in the hand of somebody, or the property gets in the hand of somebody. So I still think there's a place, especially for high-end properties, to do a luxury property publication. Or a property publication that shows off how well you present properties and shows off the properties well. And with that, then you get the opportunity to, choose the stock, choose the design of the pages of the magazine, and really get into real detail about, showing how you have a passion for presenting properties and to display your brand. So yeah, definitely. And I think then also printed, because you don't get as much through the post, it has a much longer shelf life. If you're receiving an 80-page magazine through the post, then people are going to sit down and take time to look at it if it's of that quality standard that makes people stand up and pay attention.
Well, looking at the previous examples, it's got that sort of coffee table appeal, hasn't it?
Yeah, the work that I did in the past, the last sort of couple of last 2 or 3 publications that I produced for my last firm, then that's really where we're looking for, is coffee table magazines, something that people would happily pay money for, and it means that vendors want to be in it, buyers want to read it, so it's a win-win on both parts, and it's something that I've definitely got a plan to carry on in the future in my current role.
There's one of the things I think I picked up on was that co-brand element. I don't want to go too much into your past with previous firms, but you had a co-brand with a luxury brand. I thought that was quite a nice way to anchor in people's minds, where you are as a brand. because you're using a national brand there.
I think as interesting as properties are, the properties are a national obsession in the UK, aren't they? People love. I know I've got Rightmove alerts set up for my neighbourhood so that I can see inside my neighbours' houses when they come up for sale. So, but I mean, alongside that, you can't just put pictures of properties in a magazine and expect it to be interesting. So I think that element of, luxury brand association, especially for that market, is good. Or informative, entertaining articles about, about finance or other elements of the property, the property market. Yeah.
I was very interested to see the co-branding with a high-end local car dealership, because I did a similar exercise in the past. So just our listeners might be interested to learn sort of how far you took that. For example, did you work with them to sort of get access to their database, to their contacts, and sort of promote your properties in that way through them?
They where we did it before, we set out to develop a relationship with luxury brands, and one of them, P&A Wood Rolls-Royce, they invited us to take a tour. And then, going forward from that, there was a reciprocal relationship there, so that we could send our clients for tours of the thing and invite them on sort of luxury experiences. Where we saw it relevant, then we could either take developer clients or people who were selling their properties with us. So it was a really nice relationship, and I think it's got to benefit both parts, doesn't it? Everybody's got to see benefit, and the same as whether you're doing that with a local restaurant or whether you're doing it with a luxury car brand, then I think there's got to be some reciprocal benefit there.
Fab. Talking of cars, because I used to work with car clients, and I'm a bit of a petrol head despite driving a Nissan Cube.
Really? Do you? They're the asymmetrical ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've always been like, I've just had a love for those cars, just from the way they look, the fact that they're asymmetrical, and everybody calls them postman Pat cars, don't they?
Absolutely. Well, this is an insight into my psyche and relationship. But one of the key things one of the reasons why I really love it is my wife can't stand it. But one of the things I see from working with luxury car brands is that there's the trickle down effect. So you get your latest gadgets in your BMW 6 Series, and then 10 years later they're in a Ford Focus. And I see the parallels with luxury property marketing then sort of trickles down. I mean, where you are, I can see clearly you're targeting the high-end properties. Do you also sort of go for your standard sort of 2-bed terrace, 3-bed semis?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think we deal with the entire spectrum of the property market, and whilst it's true to say that luxury homes normally command a higher fee, so probably get a slightly better treatment in terms of the the presentation they get, or they might get special copywriting, that you can definitely see that trickle down effect. I mean, I think it was probably before I entered the property market, but of course there was a time when floor plans didn't exist for every property, so you've definitely seen that trickle down effect. And videos are more prolific now across all sectors of the property market, whereas at one time they might have been just the reserve of luxury properties. And I think you're talking about it when you talk about the top end and the regular market. If you're in Surbiton and you're talking about a 2-bed flat, it could be £500,000. So you're not talking about people who should receive a lesser experience just because they have a 2-bed flat. Those people who own a £500,000 2-bed flat are still going to be going to the Ivy for lunch, or they're going to be shopping in luxury in luxury brands, and they're used to an experience that is of a certain level. So I think as property marketeers, we've got to look outside the sphere of just the property industry and look wider around successful brands across the world and what they're doing in terms of customer experience, how they're communicating with customers, how they're presenting their products, and try to pick the best of it so that we can carry on improving our own customers' experience and present the properties that we take on and promote to the best of our abilities. And I think that's it's an ongoing series of improvement, isn't it?
Yeah. So Seymour's have about 20 offices. How do you find training your team, the guys on the ground that are listing your properties and marketing? How do you keep those standards up? Because you clearly have some really high standards, but you can't go around and take photos and write the copy for every single house.
So, I mean, I'll caveat this by saying I'm only, 2 months, 2 and a bit months into my role here.
We're trying to work it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I think the key is probably working with the best suppliers. I think when we look at our photography suppliers or our video suppliers, it's about picking people that have a good track record and that can hit the service level agreements that we expect. So and we will have regular reviews with those suppliers to make sure that they're hitting that service level. And if we see that things are going awry, then obviously that's a management process, and to keep those standards up. But I think a lot of the suppliers that are in the space at the moment have been doing it for a long time, and obviously they're improving their product themselves. When it comes to the front line, good agents, it comes back to the people that you employ, doesn't it? It comes back to the recruitment process, and to do that you need a good, strong, healthy brand that attracts the best people. So it comes down to that, I guess.
Going slightly off topic, because it's not specifically, I'm sure you weren't featuring particular properties, but it's interesting to see that you've had experience of TV advertising, which I would be fair to say the majority of agents won't have used that medium. I see some of the corporates and big franchises do tend to do that, but just talk a little about your experience of being on TV.
For me, it's one of the most enjoyable parts of my role, is exploring new avenues to advertise the business. I think television is still one of the most trusted forms of advertising that you can get, and more than ever with the invention of digital TV. You can be more targeted with the people that you select to advertise to. I think it's cost prohibitive for a lot of agents, maybe especially for smaller independent ones, because there is that barrier to entry. If you're going to film stuff for TV, you need to work with a production company. It has to be filmed to a certain standard. It has to be approved by Clearcast to be able to get on TV. So there is that barrier for entry. But if you can get past that, then like I said, it's one of the most trusted forms of advertising, and it's something that I really believe in. But to do it, and you want to hit a certain quality standard, then it costs money, and you can see on TV, when you're watching a cheap TV advert, or you're watching one with high quality production values. So I guess it comes down to where your brand sits, and and how you want to be perceived.
To be honest, I think you can mirror that comment with Rightmove. So when you're scrolling down listings, I think you can see the agents that stand out and those that don't, which is also another interesting perspective on that comment. But I think that, so what's your opinion on the state of play in property marketing right now? So 2022, where do you think we are?
I think generally we're in a really healthy spot. I mean, you talk about scrolling through the listings on Rightmove, and there are a lot of good agents. There is a lot of agents, doing the basics right. They all have good floor plans. They're all following the Rightmove training on the ultimate listing guide. They're all switching their properties around, the pictures around. They're all completing the listings. So I think it's really in a healthy spot, and I guess it makes the competition in this time harder than ever, with a lack of stock coming to the market. It makes it harder for each agent to differentiate themselves. But I guess that's where the best agents do, because they're doing things to a quality level that is above the.
Are there any agents nationally that might be outside of Surrey that you're particularly interested in talking about, that you see some good work going on from a property marketing perspective?
I see there's quite a lot of good stuff coming out from Dorset. I really like some of the agents in the West Country. And I think they're working with some of the best design agencies, or they're investing in video content to really give an insight into what's happening in their local markets, and and connect with their customers over the medium of video. What I find really interesting is the virtual tours element, and I think when you look at where the vendors are asking for them, people have really voted over their feet. There was an explosion of them over COVID when we were all stuck indoors, and there was literally no option other than to have a virtual tour, because you couldn't do physical viewings. But now you're sort of seeing that die off, and I just I think it would have become a huge part of Rightmove if there were virtual tours everywhere. It's going to be interesting. I was at a conference last week, and they were sort of talking about the metaverse and how Facebook is developing that, and do we have digital real estate? about in 10 years time, are you going to walk into an area of the metaverse and just view properties virtually like that? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting time as technology is going to continue to develop at a really fast pace. We're all going to have to try and just hang on its coattails and try and keep up with it. So I think the next 10 years is going to look very different to what it is now. 2-dimensional photos and a floor plan.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially if petrol prices keep increasing, we'll be back to virtual tours all over the place.
We'll have to sit on our sofas and look at the bubbles.
Yeah, £1.82 it is now down near me at the moment. So hopefully that can be over soon.
Excellent. Well, Graeme, thank you very much. I think it's been really, really interesting, really insightful. Great to hear about your experiences and what it takes to be an award-winning property marketer.
No, I think it's been really good to get to know Graeme. I think fascinating journey that you've been on over the last 15 years. Look forward to seeing what you can do now at Seymour's.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, guys. And if anybody's got any questions, or wants to follow up on anything that I've said today, then feel free to just give us a connection and ask us a question. Thanks, guys.
Brilliant. Thanks, Graeme. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Property Marketing Show. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.